Yeah, so the vampire is murdering one of your orphans every single day. What would you guys like to do?
Really? It's not like we have a choice.
Yeah, no crap. Of course we're gonna save the stupid orphans.
I agree. We can't just do nothing while all those poor innocent orphans are being murderized.
Now wait just one moment. Doesn't everybody see what's happening? We're being railroaded, you dunces!
Holy crap! He's been screwing us!
Why would you do that, Mr. Dungeon Master, sir?
Yes, corporate regulations are very clear on the subject of railroading. Offenses require disciplinary action up to and including dismissal from the game.
Now hold on a second. This is my gaming group, and I'm the one that invited you all to play. I'm the one that prepares an adventure every week for you to play. And I'm the one that bought all of the miniatures. And I'm the one that gave you all magic items at level 3, even though the Dungeon Master Guide tells me not to.
Be that as it may, I motion to dismiss the Dungeon Master from the group. I second that!
Oh yeah, baby, let's kick his butt! As I said, corporate regulations are very clear on railroading, and you, sir, are guilty. I vote to dismiss.
Oh yeah, it's bye-bye time, Mr. X Dungeon Master, sir. Okay, Zack, editor person, omnipotent editor, do your thing now.
This is ridiculous. Now, listen here, Zack. Before you do anything hasty, just remember who pays your editing invoices. That's what I thought.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, but now what? Who's gonna run D&D for us?
I don't know. But if we use Describe's finely crafted narrative descriptions, we could help our Dungeon Master run even better games.
Whoa, did you just do a sleazy plug?
Wow, I mean, Describe is pretty cool, but I never thought the rogue would deliver a sleazy plug.
Holy crap, I suck!
Welcome to the DM Lair. I'm Luke Hart, and I've been a Dungeon Master since high school. On this channel, I give practical Dungeon Master advice that you can use in your Dungeons & Dragons games. Today in the Lair, I'm going to be telling you about how recently I discovered that I had been guilty of railroading my lovely players, and how it kind of made the game miserable for at least a couple of them. Well, perhaps I wasn't technically railroading them, but I was certainly taking away their agency as players, and that wasn't cool. And this just goes to show you that you never ever arrive as a Dungeon Master. It's an ongoing journey of continual improvement, and you can always learn and get better. Now, before we jump in, do you sometimes find it challenging to give narrative descriptions to your players? Descriptions of places, monsters, spells, and other important elements of an epic fantasy adventure? Well, with Describe, you can enter the name of a monster, place, or spell and get a professionally written narrative description that you can read to your players. For instance, let's say your players have just waded through hordes of demons and they're about to face off against a terrifying Baelor. And you want to set the perfect description and set the scene for them. Just head to describe.com and type in Baelor. Then click the Baelor card and a beautiful description crafted by Describe's experienced RPG writers comes up. Then you just read it out loud to your players, setting the scene perfectly and painting that horrifying description that you were looking for. Besides monsters, Describe has box text for places, spells, items, and characters. And they recently released their Cartographers collection, which includes narrative descriptions and maps for your game. There are currently over 1,900 scenes of monsters, places, spells, characters, and items to help you describe that perfect scene to your players. Now, many of the scenes are completely free, but hundreds more are available with a paid subscription. So if you want to enhance the theater of mind experience for your players in your next game session, check out Describe at dscryb.com/the DM Lair. And if you use the coupon code the DM Lair, you will get 10% off your first subscription payment. So if you go for the annual payment option, you'll save even more. Okay, it's story time. Chittering Lucy Slop Growth. Okay, so the first instance of railroading, or at least taking my players' agency, had to do with their encounters and adventures that concerned Chittering Lucy Slopgrowth. Okay, so a little bit of basic storyline here of what was going on in the campaign. Chittering Lucy Slopgrowth, these names, is working for the Queen of Air and Darkness in the Feywild. And the Queen of Air and Darkness had made a deal with Asmodeus of the Nine Hells, the leader of the Nine Hells. Basically, the Queen of Air and Darkness was assisting Asmodeus in the Blood War by ferrying demons from Avernus, the first layer of the Nine Hells, over to the Prime Material Plane via the Feywild. The goal here was that the Blood War would be lessened up, the devils wouldn't have to fight quite as much, and they would be free to do other things, such as conquer other territories, other planes of existence. In exchange, Asmodeus would help the Queen of Air and Darkness for overthrow Queen Titiania, or whatever it is, the other ruler of the Feywild, and thus the Queen of Air and Darkness could consume the entire Feywild. So some basic high-level plot going on. And my players, of course, had been interfering with Chittering Lucy Slopgrowth's plans in the region by defeating demons, defeating the Fey that were working for her, and all of those sorts of things that players are likely to do in a game. So Slopgrowth finally got tired of their interference, and she took the heads of family members of their staff at Trollskull Manor. She literally just off their heads and left their heads at the manor, their place of business where they sleep and all that good stuff. And then she left notes in these mouths telling the players that they needed to meet with her and die, or she would continue killing people that were dear to them. So the players basically had no choice but to go on the quest. And it's not that big of a deal. Many games are linear like this. Players get a plot hook, there's something urgent going on, they kind of can't say no. So they go into the sewers, they fight the bad guys, and they have to go into the Feywild to face off against Chittering Lucy Slopgrowth. But she's a night hag, and night hags can travel to the ethereal plane as an action. Thus, when she got the crap kicked out of her, she did just that and she escaped. And there was really nothing the players could do to stop her at that point. 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒 Androvich. Now, when my group was about level 5 or so, they broke into 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒 Androvich's house, and they were just there to steal his sword collection. But they went against the NPC quest giver's instructions, and they also took other items of value from 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒's house. Now, this happened when the group was a lower level, and it did tick off 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒, and he decided that he was going to get revenge. Now, that revenge was not immediate, that revenge was delayed, that revenge did not come about until the group was about level 8 or so. So there was quite a bit of time in between there where the group was just going off and doing other things, and they thought nothing of 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒. But when they were about level 8, 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒 started using his shady contacts in Waterdeep to frame the entire adventuring group for crimes, drug dealing specifically, and he had their staff arrested and their properties seized. So when the players were coming back from another quest, they had no choice but to deal with this problem. Thus again, their agency, their choice of what to do was taken from them. And not only that, but I basically took away all of the things that they had worked really hard to get. They had several properties that they had obtained over the course of gameplay up to that point. Now, it wasn't exactly bad role-playing of 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒. That's essentially what I decided he would do. Instead of just outright attacking them, he would use different methods to get revenge on them and coerce them into facing off against him or doing what he wanted them to do, which was go get his sword back, his sword collection back, and give it back to him. However, the problem here is that that's kind of the equivalent, it is the equivalent of the Dungeon Master saying, that's what my character would do. And it perhaps it wasn't the best game design, regardless of that being what 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒 would do. Because remember, as a Dungeon Master, you don't want to only think about, role-playing your NPCs and doing what they would do and just being true to your NPC. You also want to consider game design. How will your players enjoy this part of the game? Will it be fun for them? Will it be miserable for them? So just pure role-playing is not the only consideration a Dungeon Master has. You also need to think about, is it good game design? Will it be enjoyable for my players or not? And this was also the second time in 3 quests that the adventurers had no choice about which adventure to go on. Now it wasn't railroading, it was just linear quest design, but it did make a couple of them feel like their agency was being taken away. I was forcing them to go on the quests, and that's not normally how I run the game. If I had done it once, no big deal. But you start doing it too many times, and the players start to feel that push. They start to feel that, we don't have a choice. We're just getting pushed down this lane. And it was not a good push. There was some nasty elements to it, especially when I was taking away their properties and really making them feel like they kind of got screwed over and lost things that they had worked hard for. And so 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐄𝐒 took away all of their properties, he imprisoned their staff, and they had to get this resolved immediately. But the only way to get to 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒's astral base, because he was a 𝐑𝐄𝐒𝐄𝐒 who lived on the astral plane, was to go through a portal that was quickly closing. And if the players didn't go through, which by the way, they had no way to get back to the material plane at that point, they would lose their chance to resolve this issue with 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒. So again, I forced their hand. They had no choice but to go in that portal. And it doesn't end there. After fighting through that astral base and defeating 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒, who plane shifted and got away, a bunch of 𝐑𝐂𝐂𝐄𝐒's forces arrived, because they were out on a raid when the players had initially arrived to invade his base, and then those returning raiding forces entered the base and were closing in on the players. But I had conveniently placed a magical portal there that would take them to either a swamp where there lived a black dragon, or a volcano where there lived a red dragon. And my players had no choice, yet again, but to flee through one of those portals, and they chose the portal that led to the swamp with the black dragon. So yeah, it was either die to a horde of 𝐑𝐄𝐄𝐒 or flee into the swamp and probably face off against a black dragon. Again, I'm taking away their agency, I'm taking away their choice. By the way, both of these adventures, including 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒 Androvich, are available in Lair magazine, the monthly publication that I make for my patrons. The first quest, The Collector, was published in the March issue, and the second quest, 𝐑𝐂𝐄𝐒's Revenge, was published in the May issue, which was just released. If you become a patron right now, you'll immediately get access to the May issue, but the March issue and all the other back issues are available in the DM Lair store, which I'll link for you down below. Besides getting 2 complete 5th edition adventures every single month, my patrons also get a whole slew of other Dungeon Master resources, including new monsters, magic items, puzzles, and standalone encounters. Basically, Lair magazine contains resources designed to reduce your prep time and improve your game. Oh, and the May issue even has bonus content from the Dungeon Coach. My $15 and above patrons will get a magic tattoo system, several ready-to-go magic tattoos, and 3 new player subclasses: the Artificer Inksmith, the Bard College of Ink, and the Warlock Ancestral Spirits. The Dragon in the Swamp. Okay, so my players go through this portal into the swamp to not die to all of these 𝐑𝐄𝐒𝐒, and there in the swamp they have endless trolls attacking them and fighting them. And then finally, they run into the black dragon itself, accompanied by 2 black Abishai. Very, 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 very bad encounter, deadly. They really don't want to fight this guy. It was nasty. And the dragon, again, gave them a choice. A choice. Go to the south and defeat the darkness, which he described as covering the swamp, destroying the swamp, and needed to be dealt with and all that kind of thing. Or the players could fight the dragon and his Abishai buddies as a punishment for trespassing. So there's no choice. It's like, hello, here is an overwhelmingly deadly encounter. You could either fight us and probably die, or you can go be our lackeys and go do this thing that we need you to do. So here I am again. I'm essentially stealing their agency, giving them no choice, and shoving them down a path that I have decided for them. And my players are like, screw that, we're fighting the dragon. Who would have thought? As I said, this is a crazily deadly encounter. I gave the dragon spells, legendary actions. It was easily the strength of an ancient black dragon. And I feel that this battle would have been challenging for a level 15 group even. But my players weren't level 15. They were like level 8. However, they survived, mostly. One of the PCs did die, and the dragon ended up running away from them, nearly dead himself. So they missed out on the dragon's treasure hoard. I bet that felt good, you know. Oh, here's Dragon and Abishai, you know, and oh, holy crap, it's crazy hard, and he died, and oh, no treasure. Well, that sucks. I mean, they should have thought about that and tried to capture the dragon, or, you know, because you got to find out where the treasure hoard is, or they could have left one of the Abishai alive and not killed it. There are things the players could have done to make sure they could track down the treasure hoard, so that's not really my fault. There were some decisions they made there too, but anyway, whatever, let's just keep moving. And then as they limped along after the fight, heavily wounded, unable to take a long rest or anything, because they had trolls trailing them and flanking them that were obviously corralling them to the northeast. Again, here I am. I'm strong-arming my players, pushing them in a particular direction, this time with the trolls that are flanking them but not attacking them, but clearly pushing them along and corralling them in a certain direction. Stealing agency, not giving them a whole lot of choice. They kind of got to do what the Dungeon Master's telling them to do or they're screwed. Now my players thought that they were being forced in the direction of the dragon, who had likely fully rested, and that they would have to fight it again. So they attacked the trolls, even though there were tons of them, and it might have been a hopeless battle. And that game session ended mid-combat with them fighting the trolls. Catastrophic failure. At this point, a player messaged the group saying he was considering quitting, saying that he wasn't really having much fun. So this is like red flags are going up around me, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? I'm oblivious to what I was doing. I had no idea that I was doing the same thing repeatedly, that was forcing my players down a path that was taking the fun out of the game for at least a couple of them. I'm oblivious. I had no idea. This is the red flag, though. This is the thing that tells Luke, hey, something's going on here. What's going on? Because these dudes were all having fun and very happy before. So I began talking with my players thinking, hey, maybe there's more than one person that is having issues here, and I might be able to get some good feedback from them and find out how everybody's feeling, if I can make some improvements, that sort of thing. So I sent out a survey to my players to see how they were feeling about the game, things they liked, things they didn't like, and I got some really good feedback. And the next game session, as a group, we had a conversation about these things. We cleared the air, and we discussed how everybody was feeling, whether they enjoyed the game or not, and things that they would prefer to have improved. And we discussed some other topics that had come up in the survey as well. You see, through the surveys and talking to the players, it had become apparent to me that I had constantly been taking away their agency and forcing them down a certain path. And this was making the game unfun for at least two of the players. One of my points here is that if they hadn't told me anything, I wouldn't have known I was falling into this trap, doing something that logically, I knew was not good game design, but somehow I was doing it anyway. So one of my points here is that it's important for players to give feedback to their Dungeon Masters. Dungeon Masters may not intentionally be screwing you over or doing things to make the game unfun. They may just not realize the effect their actions are having on the game. So if you don't tell them, they can't change and they can't improve things for you. Another point I want to make here is that Dungeon Masters should routinely ask for feedback from their players. I fell out of this habit with that particular group, but now I have a reminder on my calendar to do that survey every 3 months to make sure that we're staying on track and that everybody is happy with how that game is going. And then I'm going to be able to get feedback and course correct as needed. It's also super important for Dungeon Masters to be open to such feedback from their players and be willing to change how they're running the game based on that feedback. Dungeon Masters need to be willing to learn from their mistakes. This will keep you on the path of always getting better as a Dungeon Master and helping you run good games for your players. Now, are you always going to change something just because players ask you to do it? No, absolutely not. Sometimes players ask for things that are, quite frankly, just not good for gameplay or are rather ridiculous. So you're not just going to tell them yes to everything they might ask for. You need to use your brain, you need to use logic, you need to evaluate things, but you do need to have a soft heart that is willing to change if there is cause to do so. Don't forget, if you'd like finely crafted box text for your games, head over to describe.com/thedmlair and use coupon code thedmlair to get 10% off your first payment. And if you're looking for monthly Dungeon Master resources to reduce your prep time and improve your games, become a patron at the link below. In May's issue of Lair magazine, you'll get Talakansky's Revenge, a level 8 adventure, The Worm Witch, a level 5 adventure, 10 new magic items, 5 encounters, 10 random tables, 10 villains with custom stat blocks, and bonus content from the Dungeon Coach. If you enjoyed this story, give it a thumbs up, and if you think I'm a jerk for not telling you how the story ended, feel free to leave a nasty comment down below. Let YouTube's algorithm know how terrible I am. And until next time, let's play D&D.